Chapter 6-9. Soon all three of them, Pride, his grandfather, and the villager, were heading for the shore to meet the other inhabitants. Pride, you've trained your condition quite well to the point where you don't get out of breath so quickly. Who asked you to go and live in such a distant place? Hahaha, you always seem to enjoy it. I mean the peace and silence. While the two of them chatted, the pirate ship was getting closer. It won't be much longer now. They'll reach the shore in a few minutes, Ray said. He could see the ship clearly. Thud. Rihaha, Captain. Why have we never seen this island before, said one of the pirates. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't seem to be that big of an island, just kill all the men, grab anything of value, as well as the women and children. Don't forget them. 50 pirates disembarked from the ship, which lay close to the shore. At the same time, residents of the settlement who had not evacuated gathered nearby to block the pirates' path. Ray, do you recognize any of these pirates? Said one of the villagers, armed with a sword. Ray, who was looking at the Jolly Roger, drifted off into his thoughts for a moment. No, I don't know them. They're most likely still unknown pirates who've been at sea for a short time. It was not long before the inhabitants of the area moved to the shore to settle the battle there. Oi, Captain. Just when we thought we'd have to find every damn one, they're all gathering before us. Well, sometimes you just get lucky in life. 100 villagers stood in front of 50 pirates, armed to the teeth. There was a blacksmith in their town. So everyone was well equipped. There is really no need for anyone here to engage in combat. Just keep a low profile for now and observe the proceedings, Ray said as he drew his sword from its sheath. Boom. Ray didn't hesitate for long either. He immediately attacked the pirates in his vicinity. With finesse and speed, he sliced and diced the pirates that appeared before him. Arg. There were many such cries to be heard. Ray had killed more than 9 pirates in a short time. Captain. The old man seems to be quite strong. What should we do? TZZ. He's an old man. He'll probably be out of breath in no time at all. Besides, we're the more experienced ones. On their side, there's only the old man. Once he's taken out, we'll take care of the rest, said the captain of the pirate crew, grinning broadly. About a quarter of an hour later, Ray had already eliminated close to 30 pirates. The slightly elderly Ray was a little winded by the constant movement across the battlefield, slashing at the pirates. Pride watched the events of the last 20 minutes. He fell into a slight trance. Grandad Ray, my suspicions were confirmed, he was definitely not a marine. If he had been, he would have used one of the Rokushiki techniques. He was a former pirate for sure. But from the way I saw him, he certainly had not seen the New World at all. Most likely, he had only seen the first half of the Grand Line. A voice snapped Pride out of his immersion. Pride. It is time to learn about the dark side of the oceans. Remember what we discussed, if you can't kill them, immobilize them. I've been living in the world of One Piece for a little over a year now and I train every day until I can no longer. But I have to get over it again to kill someone. What the hell am I thinking? That with my sister and here is nothing else. Both try to enter my comfort zone uninvited. So I think I am entitled to kill them. Besides, we live in a time that is filled to the brim with scum. Time for me to get my shit together and face the real world. Understood, Grandpa. Step. Step. Pride immediately moved closer to the remaining pirates, who were clustered together. Oi, they send a kid now that the old man is running out of breath. Hi-he. I would have loved to play with him. Now I'm afraid I'll have to tear him apart. Ray was slightly exhausted. He looked at the proceedings with a broad grin on his face. Pride, show them what you showed me. The pirates weren't bothered by the old man's explanation. They attacked the little boy as he approached. Oi. You're mine, shouted a pirate, ready to cut Pride to pieces. Measuring the distance, Pride waited until the attacker was within 5 meters of him before he drew his sword from its sheath. But something quite spectacular happened. In a very subtle way, a purple aura enveloped Pride. Gravity suppression. Boom. Almost everything within a radius of 5 meters had been crushed to the ground. The pirate who had just tried to rob Pride of his life knelt on the ground and was refusing with all his might to taste the earth. Step. Step. No, 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 please. I'll stop being a pirate forever. Maybe it's even worse. You know you're going to die, but you can't do anything about it. You should have considered that before. Swash. The dripping of blood was clearly audible. The dripping that was flowing from the edge of his sword. Another human life, and yet I don't feel anything. Why? Because I killed before. Or simply because these pirates were scum. Why? Why does it feel so damn good to kill? Killing people who rob others of their opportunities and enjoy killing themselves feels good somehow. Pride thought with a grin on his face. No, no. Get away from me. You're a psychopath. Shouted the oppressed pirates, barely keeping themselves from kneeling. The fear in their eyes was palpable. They saw a young boy grinning broadly as he killed pirate after pirate. A short time later, all the remaining pirates were lying on the ground, dead. The heads of almost all of them were missing. In the middle of all this was a young boy. Blood was all over him, a serene grin on his face. Pride, said Ray, concerned for his well-being, as he approached him. It's all right. Let's go home. After the slaughter, it was his grandfather who brought him back to reality and took him home with him. As soon as they arrived, he wanted to make sure that Pride was all right. After all, as tragic as it may be for a young boy to witness a murder, it is all the more tragic to commit one. Indeed, we are facing a vicious pirate age. Children are forced to learn to look after themselves at an early age, or else they will be surrounded by death. However, there is no guarantee that this will not lead to the development of mental disorders. The conversation he had with his grandfather took place 3 years ago. Strength and more strength. For the past 3 years, Pride has been devoting the majority of his time to his training. He soon realized that the more training he did, the more he could unlock from Shanks's memory. However, he was left to his own devices when it came to training his devil fruit. After all, the techniques that were shown in the anime of Fujitora were mostly more refined or more advanced ones. And that wasn't of any help, so he was more and more creative with the invention of new techniques. He kept on performing the same workout throughout each day with no breaks, apart from increasing the reps, almost to the extent that the following day's workout proved to be too much for him. Although he no longer fainted, he returned home every day in a deep state of pain and drenched in sweat. His main focus was on his swordsmanship and his devil fruit utilization. With each passing day, and with each advancement, Pride was able to gain more and more of Shanks's knowledge. It was a great help to his swordsmanship. Only then did he realize that Shanks himself was a training beast. To improve the use of his devil fruit, Pride spent most of his nights attempting to levitate items from his backyard. In the process, he discovered 2 additional ways to use it. As we all know, gravity is everywhere. With a great deal of creativity, Pride practiced on a daily basis not only to make things float but also to make them repel or attract each other. It took a lot of practice. In the beginning, he was barely able to perform the 2 tasks mentioned above. However, with the passage of time, the application of these skills has improved. Even though he still hasn't mastered these skills, he already has the ability to have an effect on people with them. But it all depends on the strength of the opponent. The task will be quite easy if the opponent is a child. But the process would be more difficult with an adult. Calendar year, 1474. As always, the sun was shining brightly over the island. So far, the island has not been affected by any bad weather in the last 10 years. A youthful man could be seen upon closer inspection. He had medium-length black hair, crystalline blue eyes, and a distinguished face, as well as a height of 1.77 meters. He examined himself in the mirror, thinking about something. He heard a humming sound inside him. Ding. Name, Pride. Age, 14 years old. The template, Shanks, extraction 20%. Abilities, intermediate swordsman. In this stage, the swordsman can make a sword turn into an extension of his own will. The swordsman is capable of cutting through things that are usually harder than the sword itself, such as certain types of stones or even steel. Observations, hockey, beginner stage. Devil fruit, Zushi no Mi, progress 18%. Abilities. Gravity suppression. Gravity alleviation. Gravity repulsion. Gravity attraction. Pride, come down. Breakfast is ready. The progress that I have made in the last couple of years has been quite tremendous. At first, I was considering joining the Marines to speed up the integration with Shanks's template, but I completely underestimated just how fruitful the overall training is. Although it becomes more and more difficult to progress later, there is no longer a need to join the Marines, especially since I wouldn't be the kind of person to follow orders in the first place. I would much rather be a free spirit. I'll be right there. Pride didn't let his grandfather wait too long. After changing his clothes, he went straight to the kitchen. Munch. Munch. As the 2 of them sat at the dinner table, feasting on their usual eggs and meat, his grandfather's voice resounded. Pride, you know that the kingdom of Briss is the nearest island to us. One of my friends, a merchant who sells all sorts of goods, came by last time and mentioned that he would soon be acquiring a rather valuable item for his possession. Since he is still in debt to me, he suggested that I should come by for the item soon. This one, however, happens to be a gift for you, so I would like you to go there and pick it up. Just be on the lookout for someone by the name of Kazuma at that location. Okay, Grandpa. You can ask Dokai for a ride on his boat. It shouldn't take too long to get there. Maybe one day, Grandpa Ray said while chewing. After eating, Pride got dressed. He prepared his bag for the journey to the Brisk Kingdom. Grandpa, I am on my way to Dokai. Ray POV. It's just amazing to see the kind of progress that the brat has made over the last couple of years. He has completely put me to shame in that regard. Not only was his swordsmanship getting better and better, his physical strength was also increasing. Don't even get me started on his devil fruit utilization, truly a terrifying ability. I have a feeling that he will be a strong person soon. Haha, you will surely love this gift, Pride. Pride was probably lucky. Dokai agreed without hesitation. While Pride waited outside, Dokai also packed his backpack. After that, they both went towards the shore to reach his boat. This is my treasure, my pride. Let's get going. I don't want to be gone for too long, Dokai said, slowly pulling his small boat, which had room for 2 people, into the water. Several hours later. Pride, wake up. We're almost there, said Dokai, glancing at the distant kingdom. Yawn. We were lucky. We didn't get hit by any storms or anything, Pride said as he stretched. It's pretty funny, huh? You've been asleep for almost the whole trip. I'll sleep a little less on the way back. Pride smiled. As the boat approached the kingdom, the island became visible from afar. Just like Pride's home island, the kingdom of Briss is a mystery. There are so many beautiful locations that unfortunately haven't appeared in the anime or manga. The island certainly looks gorgeous. It is surrounded by a fleet of ships that are docked at the shore. And it appears to be large, as one would expect of a kingdom. Pride reflected as they approached. Thud. Good afternoon. You are more than welcome to dock your boat here. However, there will be a charge of 500 bellies per day for the docking of your boat. Here you go, said Pride, and handed the harbor worker 1,000 berries that he had received from his grandfather earlier in the day. It is my sincere wish that you have a very pleasant stay in our kingdom. Afterward, Pride witnessed a captivating sight. It is truly nothing like Centauria. Not only is it bigger here, but no. The port itself is as lively as our hometown. Then I have no idea what kind of state their town is in. Needless to say, it's nothing like the place he came from. Whereas they had only a few hundred inhabitants, this kingdom is teeming with people. As people talked to each other, only laughter filled the streets. In particular, no pirate ships were visible. Of course, not anchored on the shore, probably because the Brisk Kingdom is connected to the world government, as these pirates would not dare to get involved. Pride, who exactly are we looking for, to begin with? My grandfather told us to be on the lookout for a merchant by the name of Kazuma. He would definitely be here in this kingdom at this time, Pride said as they both made their way to the town. Kazuma. All you have is a name. What use will that be to us? It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Dokai said skeptically. Oh, no. He's supposed to be well known here. I'm confident that once we ask around a couple of times, we'll have a clue. 2 hours later. Unfortunately, the two of them searched for the name Kazuma in vain. They asked around. Neither of them knew anyone by that name. Pride, don't you think it would be better if we gave up the chase altogether and went back? Dokai sighed. Let's keep going for a couple of more hours. If we don't have a lead by then, we can head back. Together, the two of them asked an increasing number of people if they were familiar with the name mentioned above. Thus, they gradually moved deeper into the town. Kazuma. Ah, you mean that merchant who comes around occasionally to sell his stuff? Yes, exactly. Any idea where he might be? Asked Pride impatiently. Just go straight ahead and follow that path for a few minutes. You'll see a small shop on your right. You can't miss it. There are a lot of goods displayed in front of it. That should be Kazuma's shop. The unknown passerby said. Pride and Dokai quickly set out on the advised path. They arrived a few minutes later. As described, all sorts of goods were displayed outside the store. Cling. Cling. Hello. Welcome to our humble establishment. How may I help you? Said a young man. Pride, looking around the shop and seeing nothing interesting, turned to the young man. Is anyone named Kazuma around? Oh, Kazuma. One moment, please. Kazuma-san. Step. Step. Doyle, why are you yelling? A slightly older man said. He was also in his 50s. He was dressed in a suit. He had medium-length gray hair, brown eyes, wore glasses, and was about 1.80 m tall. Kazuma? Asked Pride. Kazuma glared at him, his eyebrows furrowed. Who might you be, kid? My name is Pride. Grandpa Ray asked me to pick up some stuff for him. Ha, how come you didn't say that before? Ray had already told me in advance that he was going to send his grandson to see me. You're lucky the gem arrived yesterday. After that, Kazuma left the room for a few minutes. He came back with a sword in its scabbard. This sword was my purchase from the West Blue auction house at a reasonable price. However, the sword seems to have a mind of its own. That's why I didn't dare to take it out again. Pride was in disbelief. If this was really true, Pride wanted to check it out. Therefore, he approached Kazuma and the sword. The scabbard was painted black, but it was decorated with thin, engraved golden ornaments. It appeared to be quite light. Sing. Pride unsheathed the sword. He was shocked. It was a black blade. It appeared to be a rather long katana with swirling patterns on it. The hilt was black as well, and it was decorated with a cross-shaped guard. That sword he was holding was beautiful. Kazuma probably didn't know its value. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thought of being so benevolent. And you like it? I'm pretty sure. It's not a supreme grade sword. There is still something missing for it to be. However, it is definitely one of the 21 great grade swords. There are only 5 or 6 known so far. How did I come across one here? I do know the location of some devil fruits, like NLS or ACE. Swords, however, are a completely different matter. I mean, sure. The sword of Ryuma that Zoro gets in the far future will be on the thriller bark. It's just that, Gecko Moria hasn't even been born yet. As for the other sword, even though it's inferior, the one Zoro gets from the shop in Lobe Town. That place probably doesn't even exist yet. I love. But before Pride was able to finish his sentence, the sword in his hand began to hum and rattle. It probably wants to measure whether I am worthy of it. TRK TRK. The shop itself shook slightly from the humming of the sword. What's going on? Asked Kazuma, panicking. Pride looked deeply at the sword. Unfortunately, I still haven't succeeded in unlocking my Conqueror's Haki. So how do I convince him? I know very well you are a mighty sword. And I know you understand me. I may not be worthy of you yet, but I promise you that sooner or later I will be one of the most powerful swordsmen of all time. And I want to achieve that with you by my side. Pride spoke these words from his soul. A purple aura enveloped him. Since the sword could sense both the young man's desire and conviction, it stopped humming after a short while. It stopped shaking, Kazuma noticed. Slowly but surely, he calmed down. With his gaze never wavering from the sword, he said the following words. From this day on, your name shall be Tengiku no Shikiri. The Heaven Divider.